Did you know that everyone eats? Not that type of eats. I'm talking about behavior and the 4 functions of behavior, which are escape, attention, tangibility, and sensory satisfaction. I've gotten a handful of messages lately about people getting grants for sensory rooms or my recommendations on some sensory items. And as you know, I have my calm down space, so I thought that I would show you some of my favorite items I use to help kids with their sensory needs. Now, I am a general education teacher. This year, I have 7 students with IEPs, and that has been the norm for me throughout my entire career. And with April being Autism Awareness Month, I thought I would show you some of the great sensory items that we have. Now, these are the items that I've worked inside of my classroom and also for the special education teachers that I work really closely with. And it's important to remember that autism is called a spectrum because there is such a wide range of needs. So a sensory item that might work for one kid might not work at all for another. Some kids are going to be willing to try new things, and some are going to beg for the familiar. So come join me for the sensory show. There are tons of fidget items out there, but not all fidget items are created equally. Not all of them serve the same purpose, not all of them meet the same needs, so it's important to understand what sensory satisfaction the child is trying to fill at that time. If it's simply texture or tactile, then something like this that's rigid might help. Be something soft to run their hands through or to squeeze, or it could be something that kind of flips back and forth like this. Now this guy right here is great for maybe a one-on-one session, but the thing that I don't really love about this one is the noises that it makes. I, as an ADHD teacher, cannot concentrate when there's things like this happening in my classroom. And that's the other thing with poppets is that they tend to make noises. So just be aware of that if you're selecting fidgets or sensory items for that purpose. I've worked with many kids who just feel like they need something to hold. So something like a simple stuffed animal. We always have our slumberkins. Offer that soft texture. You can squeeze them, but also it's just kind of something to do with your hands. The next thing that I have is this knot pillow. This is something that they can kind of wrap their arms through, intertwine in, and it also kind of feels like it's giving some compression on their arms. Speaking of compression, oftentimes when a child feels dysregulated or overwhelmed, that compression can help bring them back to their regulated state. It might be a weighted lap blanket, which could go on their lap or over their shoulders. I always keep this weighted snake in the calm corner, and I borrowed this weighted Clifford from our special education teacher. Sometimes it just feels nice to have something heavier on you when you start to feel like you're spiraling. And some might even need to go as far as a weighted vest, which gives a lot of compression on the chest and the abdomen. And there are also weights in here in case you needed to lay down, because sometimes things can just get really overstimulating for those kids who really can't handle the noise. These are noise muffling headphones. You just put them on, and it helps take the kids out of that place of panic because of the overstimulating noises going around. I've also shared a trick on here before teaching kids about a brain tap where you close your ears and then you tap your brain in a rhythmic fashion, and it helps kind of re-regulate you into your body's rhythm while also blocking out the sounds. Ever notice kids putting things in their mouths a lot? Oral fixation is also a great sensory need. So anything that they could actually chew on, these are actually meant for chewing on. And I also like to keep Twizzlers in my classroom because if the kids need those as a treat, it is a great sensory, like harder chewing that gives them that satisfaction. What about those kids who need to move? Kick bands are a great option for those kids who feel like they need to bounce their legs all the time, and something like this, which is like a floor pad that it also is textured. They could take their shoes off and have their socks on this, and it helps just kind of bounce a little bit, just like this. But you'd also be surprised at how many kids are perfectly happy with just like a tied off fleece blanket tag-like item. A really inexpensive item is Velcro dots. Every year I have kids who benefit from Velcro dots, which I just put at the bottom of their seat, and they just quietly rub their hands back and forth. There are so many great options and so many ways to fill these sensory needs that don't have to break the bank, like hello, teleties on arms and fingers. I'm happy to share these items with you. I'm thankful that our special education teacher shared them with me. Let's be honest, we all get some sort of satisfaction from something like this. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to share any sort of item that we have in this room that helps kids with any sort of needs that they might have.